I thought my husband was cheating on me with his male friend, and honestly I wasn't worried, but I just found out it's a girl and now I'm crapping myself over the competition. I, 54F, have been married almost 35 years to my husband. While it hasn't been perfect, it's been alright. We have 3 kids, dogs, the white fence. It seems like an ideal marriage, but to be honest, our personal lives have suffered somewhat over the years. Our bedroom is cold and dry, and on this upcoming Saturday, it will be 6 years since we have been intimate at all. For the longest time, I thought he was having an emotional affair with his male friend, whom he had fished with, but had become ill with cancer. He would drop everything and anything for him, including our plans. Plus, there were a few texts that, while not sexual, were more than friendship. But for some reason, while I was hurt, I was not threatened. I knew he was extremely ill, there was no physical relationship going on, his time was short, and once this was out of his system, he would be back to his normal self. I'm really sorry if my words sound crude, that's not how I want them to sound. He is not the reason why I am posting this. This past week, I was gone dog sitting and house sitting for my sister. When I got home last night to check the mail, I found a blank envelope with a short typed note inside, picture linked. I know who the female is, it's one of his friends. I'm completely devastated. To me, a woman is harder to compete with. What does she have or do that I don't? I decided to get healthy and lost weight. I've lost over 130 pounds, but I don't hear anything from him. I went to the doctor last week, dressed nicely, and he told me I was embarrassing him, that his wife was running around town looking like a whore with her Lululemons hanging out. I had a slight off-the-shoulders white eyelet with dark jeans. Since finding this out, I've become obsessed with finding evidence. I stalk her Facebook, their call logs. He calls her an average of 6 to 8 times a day, with calls lasting 5 to 15 minutes. I drove by her house. I type and delete her name, phone number, address, wanting to confront both of them, blame her, blame him. I wonder what she has that I don't, how I can fix this. Do I want to fix it? What do I do? Where do I go? I've cried for 2 days now. I can't stand to look at him, and I'm afraid to talk to him. Update 1. After a few days of crying and feeling miserable, I became obsessed with finding more information. This all came to light last Sunday. Before that, I was walking around in a state of ignorance. I went through his office, nightstand, etc. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. I would drive by her house when he would leave. In other words, I was going crazy. By Wednesday, I broke. I was tired of him acting like it was a normal day, that there was nothing going on. I could not take it anymore, and I first wanted to talk to her. I took off in my car, drove to the dog park. It was empty, so I drove to her house and started slamming on her security door and ringing her doorbell, telling her to open her effing door and that if you were woman enough to sleep with a married man, you should be woman enough to talk to his wife. This went on for maybe 10 minutes or so. She didn't answer. I texted my husband that we needed to talk and that I know. My sister was on the phone with me, trying to calm me down and get me to leave her place before the police were called. In the 3 minutes it took me to get home, yes, he picked someone in our community. Not only had she called him, but she had also sent him the security footage. So I confronted him, somewhat. It was more like he gaslit me the entire time. He talked down to me, get your stupid head in the house, I can't believe you did something so effing stupid, etc. He turned it around on me, you are always sitting on the couch unless your sister invites you out. He didn't deny he was with her and said it's none of my business. When I asked if he would stop seeing her, he said he would not give her up, she is a good friend of his. And the biggest smack in my face, he wants me to apologize to her for embarrassing her in her neighborhood. I guess she is talking about filing a restraining order against me. So Thursday and Friday, I finished my pity party, and on Saturday, I started doing things I never thought I would have to do on my 35th anniversary. I reached out to divorce attorneys. They were closed, but I filled out the forms for consultations. I also started a resume and began applying for jobs. But after not working for 20 plus years, what kind of work am I going to be qualified for? I stayed at my sister's this weekend. I needed the change of scenery. Between his attitude, the non-existent anniversary, and the overall funky feeling, I needed a break. Update 2. It's been about a month since I found out about his affair. It still sucks. I'd like to say I've totally gotten over him, but one doesn't turn off feelings like a light switch, at least, I don't. Sometimes, I think maybe we can fix this, but then he does something awful again, and I'm back on track with my plans and goals. So, I've set goals for myself and have been working towards them. My first goal was to get a job. I was a housewife for 99% of my marriage. Not only did I get one job, but I also found a second one that I can work at the same time. I opened a secret account, not in my name, and I'm stashing all my extra money in it. He controls all the house money tightly, so I have to get creative. He knows about one job, but not the other one. I've gone back to school to get my degree, geared towards what I'm doing. So far, it's going well. I'm remaining positive and pushing forward, even when he gets negative towards me, you're just going to quit, you will flunk out, etc. I'm saving for a small place, hopefully a little ado or an apartment, that will allow my little dogs. Once the apartment is lined up, I will file for divorce. I need to make sure I have a safe place to go because he will become nasty once served. So far, things are calm here. I don't ask about her, although they still speak daily, and I'm sure they are hanging out. In our community, it's like he is trying to rub my nose in it. The thing is, I'm not letting him know or see that it's bothering me at all, which, in turn, is bugging the crap out of him. So, he threatened to take my phone away. Fine, I went and bought a cheap burner phone, just in case he does. Now, he has switched to being nice. He has bought parts for my car, paid the labor, and bought my scrubs and equipment I need for work and school. He asked for a list and bought it. It's times when he's nice that I think there might be hope for us, but as long as she is in the picture, nope. Then, he turns back into the jerk again with empty threats, knocking down my confidence, and I'm back to counting months until I can move. Update 3. I'm still on my phone, and I just worked an overnight shift, so I'm tired. We are in the month of June, and quite a bit has transpired, some good, some not. I finally broke down and told my kids. Those were extremely difficult calls to make, and I told them everything. I took responsibility for my part and admitted I could have done things better. They, my kids, all older, said that while it wasn't perfect, I did my best with what I had, and that didn't excuse his cheating. My eldest wanted to come out, go a few rounds with his dad, and confront the other woman. I told him it wasn't worth it. My second son is my thinker. He didn't say much, but you can tell he is deep in thought. My third son said it's about time with the way he talked to you and treated you. I hope you're thinking about leaving. I was honestly on the fence. He would flip-flop between wanting to work on us and fix us, but his actions said differently. The past 2 weeks have been the worst. Since he has been using my son's car, my son put a tracking device in it. Yes, I have access to it, and no, he does not know about it. He would tell me he was going to one place and then go straight to the other woman's house. If I asked where he was, he would lie to my face. I just kept notes on it until I couldn't anymore. On Father's Day, I had worked the night before, got off work at 8 a.m., and texted him to ask what he wanted for dinner that night. I stopped at the store, bought everything, came home, got it started, and tried to take a nap. Mind you, he did nothing whatsoever on Mother's Day. He wakes me up to borrow $40 to go to a sporting goods store, so I said fine. Dinner's in an hour to an hour and a half, please don't be late. 2 hours later, he's not back. I checked the tracking, and he went straight to her house and had not moved. So, I go do a drive-by. His car is parked in the garage, and she is parked outside. I come back home, and I text him, you need to come home, we need to talk. I know you're not at the sports store. I wait, and there's no response. After 30 minutes, his car still had not moved, so I called her. Of course, she doesn't answer. So, I leave a voicemail, I know my husband is at your house. You win, I'm done. It's obvious he wants to be with you. I'm tired of the lies and his BS. He doesn't want someone who has loved and fought for him for 35 years. I'm done, so come get his dog and his stuff, you've won. Then I hung up. 10 minutes later, he comes in with a Walmart bag and says he went to Walmart and then a friend's house, where they made tacos for him. I dished up servings for my son and me, then threw the rest of the meal in the trash. He gave me attitude because she feels threatened now that I called her, and she has to change her number. In her line of work, she will lose clients, boo-hoo. I didn't threaten her. I told him that if he wasn't happy here, he knew where the door was, and he was welcome to use it. He was quiet all week but was also a jerk. His only concern was seeing that woman. I had melanoma removed and needed a driver, so he took me. When I got in the car, he didn't say a word, not how are you, how did it go, or are you okay? Nope, all he said was, I'm hungry. It was also the 30th anniversary of losing my sister to melanoma, so I was extra sensitive. Little things were just adding up. He was forgetting things I needed or had asked for. I was at the bottom of his list. On our son's birthday, he couldn't even wait for him to blow out the candles before he went to her house. This last Sunday, he was going through the kitchen cabinets, pulling out some soup, and said he was going to take it to a couple who had been stranded down the road for a couple of weeks in a broken-down RV. So, I gathered a few more items and whatnot, and he left, but left the bag of stuff on the counter. I checked, and yep, he went right to her house. This was it, my last bit of energy for this marriage. So I texted him again, I don't understand why you need to lie. There is no dog park, hiking trail, fishing spot, sporting goods store, broken-down RV, nor Walmart on Bunker Hill. Why not be honest and tell me you're going to her house? It's obvious, regardless of what you're saying, you don't want to work on our marriage. You have and are choosing her over your family. I sent it and tried to call him. He didn't answer, so I texted, yeah, I didn't think you would answer. Not even 5 minutes later, he comes screeching into the driveway, slamming into the house, screaming, what the F is wrong with you? You effing mother-flopping beach. I'm sure if I was in the same room as him, he would have hit me. I told him I'm tired of him lying to me. Just tell me he's going to the whore's house. He's been going this entire time, and yet he still lies about it. Doesn't he think if I'm questioning where he is, I know? He called me a few choice names and ignored me the rest of the night. I'm sure my neighbors loved it. I went yesterday, Monday, to file for divorce and got bad news. Because he is a 1099 employee and hasn't technically worked in almost 2 years, although my bills are paid, since I'm not on his bank accounts and never have been, I've always had to ask for money from him. He stopped me from doing his taxes 3 years ago because they were too complicated for you. If I were to file for divorce right now and ask for alimony, he could immediately file to lower it, and the judge could agree with him. According to the lawyer, it could mean the difference between from $500 a month to $4,500 a month. Ballpark figures here, but it was a substantial difference. My lawyer suggested waiting 3 months to file, as he is now working again and started this week. He submits paper bids, so I'm to collect as much evidence as I can in the meantime. My lawyer was impressed with how much I had gathered so far. So, I'm planning and playing it cool until September.